Welcome to Bottom Up, a monthly podcast dedicated to issues and topics of interest to young lawyers in Wisconsin and beyond. I'm Emilio Villagale.
And I'm Kristen Hardy, and we're your hosts. This is the Bottom Up Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Bottom Up Podcast. We have a bonus episode today. This is Joe Forward, Communications Director with the State Bar of Wisconsin, and I'm really excited about my two guests today. I think it's a very important topic that we're going to be talking about. I have with me Melissa Lamb and Kathleen Pakes. Both are with the Assigned Counsel Division of the State Public Defender's Office, and so we're going to talk about that program and what's going on there and the opportunities and challenges for attorneys in Wisconsin. Melissa and Kathleen, thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Good morning, Joe. Thank you for having us.
So I want to have you both introduce yourself and talk a little bit about what you both do for the Assigned Counsel Program at the SPD, and then we'll kind of get into more questions about the program and what attorneys might want to know about it.
So this is Kathleen. I'm the Assigned Counsel Division Director for the State Public Defender. The State Public Defender operates in every county of the state. We have 42 offices. We have approximately 350 staff lawyers, and on the other side of the agency, we have the Assigned Counsel Division, and we work in contract with private lawyers to represent public defender clients across the state.
Yes, and I am the Program and Policy Supervisor for the Assigned Counsel Division, so I work very closely with Kathy to run the entire division, supervising our financial specialists who audit the invoices that the attorneys submit for payment for our cases, approving expenses, experts, things like that the attorneys might request, and just in making sure all of our manuals and information is up to date, sending attorneys information about trainings, and keep making sure they're keeping up with their credit requirements and all of the sort of administrative tasks of the division.
Okay, that's great. I want to take a step back real quick. For those attorneys out there who may not know what the Assigned Counsel Program is, can you just give a summary of what it is and why it's necessary for the State Public Defender's Office to have that?
Sure. So the Office of the State Public Defender is constitutionally mandated to represent persons charged with crimes and termination of parental rights cases and some other cases that aren't necessarily criminal but are covered under Chapter 977. So we represent clients who are in juvenile court. A juvenile court would be individuals under the age of 17. At 17, you're considered an adult. That would be our adult division. We represent in civil cases that are termination of parental rights cases. We represent clients who are facing a mental health commitment. We represent clients in administrative hearings. This is probation and parole revocations, adult criminal court, and finally we have an appellate division. So once there has been a conviction or a disposition, we assign lawyers to then review the conviction or disposition to make sure that it's constitutionally sufficient.
Okay.
And I would say the need for the Assigned Counsel Division comes from the conflict cases that our staff attorneys cannot take, and overflow cases. Obviously, we have a caseload to maintain for our staff attorneys. So that's the reason for private attorneys being assigned to cases.
Okay. And this program has been long-standing, right? I mean, the Assigned Counsel Program has been part of the SPD caseload for a long time.
Sure. The agency, I believe, was created in the 80s, and it has been part of, it's been part of the agency since creation, since inception.
Okay. So can you give me a little bit of the history? I mean, I think part of what we're talking about today is that there is somewhat of a shortage of attorneys who are entering the program or participating. And then in addition to that, a shortage of attorneys who are actually working as staff at SPD. So I know I've followed this for a long time in terms of the fees that are paid to attorneys who participate. So can you give us a little background about, how this program has evolved over the years?
Sure. We have experienced in the past 10 years or so, I would say, a decline in students coming out of law school who are interested in practicing public defender work. We don't see as many people leaving law school and hanging out a shingle and starting up their own practice as we did 10 or 15 years ago. And there's also, we're competing with a lot of other types of law. So we have been struggling to recruit attorneys to public defense work, both on the staff side and on the assigned counsel division side. Geographically, we're also struggling with the same issues that counties and towns are up north in northern Wisconsin, which is when attorneys are leaving the profession in those areas, they're retiring or for whatever reason moving on to something else. We don't have younger lawyers or other lawyers coming into town or moving into town to pick up those practices.
Yeah.
I also think, and some of this is before my time, but Kathy was there at a time where our funding was dismal at SPD. And yes, we were paying $40 an hour to attorneys for cases. And yes, we've had 2 rate increases in the last 6 years or so. Right now it is $100 an hour. But there were times that not only was the rate low, our budget was such that we ran out of money. I mean, we couldn't, there were attorneys working, taking our cases that might have to wait to get paid, which we are also fighting against some of that sort of misinformation now. I think some people think it's still like that, or that there's still a struggle to get paid, or and that's no longer the case.
Okay.
I mean, I understand that $100 an hour doesn't necessarily sound great to some private attorneys who probably can get a much better rate than that. But all of the payment issues, as far as the timing of the payments and the ability to pay, is no longer the case. But I think for attorneys who have been around a long time or experienced some of that, they may have been burned by that, or think it's just, we haven't really been able to break through necessarily to let people know that that's no longer the case.
Okay. So take me through the logistics of what happens when a private bar attorney takes one of these cases.
Sure. So it's a process. If an attorney is interested and they have never contracted or worked with the assigned counsel division, we reach out. We have an application they fill out. There are certain criteria an attorney should meet depending on the types of cases they would like to handle. So once they've filled out the paperwork, we will create a vendor ID for them, get them all set up in the payment system, and I will talk to them, or Melissa will talk to them, ask them, where are you practicing? Which counties do you prefer? What case types do you prefer? And we will set them up with a list of cases that are available for them to accept. Melissa alluded to the fact we also let them know we have funding for experts, we have funding for paralegals, we have or administrative assistants, and we have some funding for investigators. And we've been very fortunate in the past few legislative cycles. The legislature has seen, I think, the value and appreciates the component that criminal defense provides to the system as a whole. So we have been much better funded, and things that used to be barriers to people taking our cases are no longer there, which is we can now pay for experts and pay for some administrative help and pay for investigators, and the rate has gone up. So attorneys, they sign up, we get them registered, we find them some cases, and then they go to the jail, they meet with the client wherever the client is, they go to court. If they're a newer lawyer, we do have a mentoring program, and we will provide them a mentor in their region or in their area that can walk them through their first 1 or 2 cases to give them the confidence they need. We identified that as a barrier also as to the reason people were not taking our cases. So I think we've resolved that. And then there's a very large network. Well, criminal defense work, it's a small community. It's a very large geographically dispersed community, but it's a very small, tight-knit community. There are several criminal defense listservs. And so for those attorneys who may feel like, gee, I'd really like to do that work, I'd like to go to court, but I'm just not having this confidence, we can help. We can help you get you set up. We can help you with finding you clients. We can help find you a mentor, and we can find you a community of lawyers to answer your questions.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Wilmick delivers big coverage for solo and small firm lawyers. Our experienced legal insurers provide comprehensive malpractice protection designed specifically for Wisconsin attorneys. With Wilmick, you get more than peace of mind. You gain reliable support that helps you practice confidently, knowing you're protected from costly claims and unexpected liability risks.
Hi, Russell Nicolay here with Nicolay Law, Accident and Injury Lawyers. If you have clients that have been injured, my office would love the opportunity to help them get compensated and get their life back on track. We handle referrals and co-counsel relationships on injury cases all across Wisconsin.
Are you an attorney looking for a unique opportunity to make an impact while living in a close-knit community? The State Bar of Wisconsin is proud to introduce the Rural Practice Development Program, an exciting initiative aimed at improving legal services in underserved rural areas across Wisconsin. Each year, 3 attorneys will have the chance to relocate to designated rural communities, join or establish law practice, and receive a financial stipend to support the transition. This program is more about just practicing law. It's about building meaningful relationships with your community, immersing yourself in local life, and addressing the critical gap in legal services for rural residents. Some program highlights include relocation to a rural community and practice law for at least 2 years, a $10,000 stipend along with free access to State Bar Pinnacle books and CLE events, plus the opportunity to join our referral service program, and offering added value of $5,466. Establish lasting professional and personal connections, and help improve access to essential legal services in rural Wisconsin. Employers, we need you too. Law firms, nonprofits, and government organizations, this program is also for you. Help support attorneys as they integrate into rural communities and create sustainable legal practices that will serve these areas for years to come. Are you ready to make a difference? Learn more about the Rural Practice Development Program and how you can be a part of this transformative effort by visiting wisbar.org/rural practice development. Join the State Bar of Wisconsin in strengthening rural legal services, one community at a time.
Thank you. And now back to the Bottom Up Podcast.
So this podcast, we've tried to target younger lawyers as an audience, and I think one of the things we often hear is, well, when you're starting out in private practice, you're really not getting a lot of that courtroom experience. So it seems like this type of program would be a really great benefit for a younger attorney who may want to get that courtroom experience.
Yeah, it's all you're going to get. You're going to have a lot of courtroom experience. In fact, there are many attorneys whose practice was, a large percentage of their practice was public defender cases. They really went in and got that courtroom experience. Mm-hmm. And it's relationship building, right? It's relationship building with other lawyers in the courtroom, with prosecutors, with judges. You're getting your name out there, clients see you, and then they've parlayed that experience into very successful practices. Over time, they may not take the same percentage of public defender cases or number, but they will take some very significant, serious cases every year for us. And we rely on those types of lawyers to handle those cases that really require substantial experience. On the other end of the spectrum, we may have newer lawyers that are not taking as serious cases, but they're taking a lot of volume.
Yeah.
And they're just generating and learning and getting the experience they need to take it to the next level.
Yeah. Go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, and I think that especially for the newer attorneys, the way our program works and the different levels of certification, it really allows them sort of a gradual increase or whatever pace they're comfortable with. An attorney straight out of law school can get appointed with our Trial 1 certification, which is basically misdemeanors. Mm-hmm. Everything beyond that, there are some criteria. You need to have some experience, which, SPD can give you that experience. And then maybe you're ready to go off on your own even more so than taking SPD cases, but it's at whatever pace they're comfortable with.
And it's also, we can also accommodate whatever a person's lifestyle is. There are some attorneys that take our cases that they're at the end of their career and they want to ramp down the private practice. They want to get out of it, but they want to stay active. So they'll take a few cases. We have quite a few attorneys who will do appellate work. Appellate work, you can go up to your cabin on the lake. You can crank out on your briefs and your research and, come back and file it and have your post-conviction hearings. We offer flexibility in that attorneys can pick and choose the case types they would like. If they would like to focus in a particular area, we have some attorneys who they only want to do drunk driving cases. Some attorneys only want to do serious sexual assaults and homicides. There are attorneys that focus on probation revocation cases. There are attorneys that focus on juvenile cases. We've found that for attorneys that may leave the workforce, perhaps because they have small children or a family at home, our appellate work has been a good option. They can take a few cases and stay active while they're home with the kids. And when they're ready to come back to work, there's no lack of business for them.
Yeah. So if for an attorney who would take a misdemeanor case, I don't know if you have this information, but how long would a typical misdemeanor case take to resolve?
It depends. Generally, as a rule of thumb, not as long, less than a year. Yeah. I would say 6 months, maybe 6 to 12 months. Could be less, could be more, but they do tend to turn over more quickly than the more serious cases.
And then approximately, and again, I don't know if you have this information, but approximately how many SPD and assigned counsel cases would end up going to trial?
It's a small percentage. I don't have the numbers specifically, but if I were to guess, it's upwards of, well, maybe a few percentage of the total go to trial.
Okay.
And those tend to be serious and cases for a variety of reasons you're just unable to resolve.
Right. Melissa, I think you were going to say something, but I wanted to address your point about, I think earlier you were saying that the need isn't so great in Dane or Milwaukee or Waukesha County, and we talked a little bit about this, but the need is very great in the rural areas of the state. So what is happening right now in those counties where where attorneys are needed? What's happening when you can't find someone?
Well, unfortunately, our clients are sitting in jail waiting for an attorney to be appointed to them. Only the county can appoint an attorney that we may not have access to. Either they're not certified to take our cases, or they're not familiar with our program, but those attorneys might be in the courtroom for something else, and sometimes the judge is like, hey, you need to take this case.
Yeah.
And, the problem with that is that county appointments the county pays for.
Mm-hmm.
We only pay for work on an SPD appointed case. Sometimes we can kind of shift from one to the other, but yeah, I mean, the bottom line is if someone doesn't have an attorney, they are sitting, well, not everyone is sitting in jail, but they're waiting for their case to proceed and get on with their life. So yeah, I mean, they may not be in jail, but they're still not able to resolve this case, which,
right.
There's certainly people who are acquitted or charges are dropped, dismissed. So, some of these people, that's just prolonging, again, being able to put it behind them and move on.
I think since the pandemic, there was a lot of changes with remote hearings. Are some of the rural counties continuing to use remote hearings as a way to be able to get more attorneys who may not be in those areas, or is it kind of differ based on where you are?
Sure. It varies judge by judge.
Okay.
And county by county. But generally, it's the judge decides how little or how much they would like to use remote or Zoom hearings. We have found that most courts are very accommodating. We do have a lot of attorneys in Madison or Milwaukee that will travel to those remote areas because they're allowed to appear remotely for certain hearings. There are some hearings where you have to be there in person, but it is possible to take a case 3 or 4 counties away and be able to do 90% of the case remotely. We do ask that if a client's in jail, obviously, you should be visiting with the client and meeting with them and having a face-to-face, but setting up some type of communication expectation with the client. And for certainly pleas and for jury trials, attorneys would have to be in person and maybe some evidentiary hearings. But other than that, attorneys can do it remotely.
And I would say for those attorneys that might be coming from a different county, we do pay for travel time. And if it is a situation where there's a week-long jury trial, it's not where you live, we'll pay for your lodging and meals while you're there. And the travel time, we pay for travel time as well.
What's the rate for the travel?
It is $50 an hour, so it's half of the
hourly rate. Yeah.
Plus mileage.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is great information. I wanted to switch gears real quick and talk about not the assigned counsel cases, but the SPD just as a staff attorney. Is the state public defender, are they fully staffed, or is there also a need for staff attorneys at the SPD?
I would say we try to be fully staffed, but you have turnover and we're always hiring.
Okay.
Usually the more remote the office, the more difficult it is for us to fill them. So we do have openings across the state at any given time. And if you go on Whisk Jobs, you'll see, I think we have a perpetual recruitment announcement up.
How many offices are there?
32.
Okay. And how many SPD staff attorneys are there?
We have approximately 350. And they're handling as many cases as they can. And generally coming to the assigned counsel division are the conflict cases, right? You've got 2 co-defendants and we can't have a staff lawyer representing each. So one would have to go to private bar.
But you mentioned that a lot of younger attorneys who may have in prior years gone to SPD as a first job aren't really coming to those programs anymore, or it's just been tougher to recruit?
It has been more difficult to recruit, and it's hard to guess all the reasons for that.
Yeah.
But there are fewer, I have a sense, just anecdotally, that there are fewer law students coming out of the law schools that really are going into criminal defense work. We're just competing with the market on that for a variety of reasons. And, now you've got a lot of student loans, and I will say they still have the student loan forgiveness program. And if you take assigned counsel cases and you work approximately 30 hours, is it a week?
Mm-hmm.
I think 30 hours a week, the assigned counsel work that you do for the state public defender will qualify you for the federal student loan forgiveness program.
Okay. And that is 10 years, I believe, right? 10 years of service. And then the remainder of your loans would be forgiven.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
But even if you were to be a private bar attorney taking our cases and then maybe become a staff attorney or get some other government or nonprofit job, it would still be in the collective of that 10 years, even if you weren't doing only strictly appointed cases for 10 years.
Before I went to law school, I worked at the public defender's office in Portland, Oregon. And what I observed was that to be a public defender, you have to be a special kind of attorney. So, what qualities would you want to have if you're coming in as a public defender? I mean, what kinds of things do you look for in an attorney to take these kinds of cases?
Sure, that's a good question. I mean, what motivates people to go into this work depends on the individual. A lot of people right out of law school, they're really passionate about social justice issues. Some people, it's just the David versus Goliath. You're going to represent this client. You're going to challenge the government. There's that type of lawyer. Just the intellectual endeavor, especially people that do appellate work. They love constitutional law. It fills, that need for them. And, on the staff side, you can represent the client and it's your one job. On the other side, when you're doing prosecution work, there's more politics involved. It could be the victim, could be getting elected, just could be a really ugly case. There's pressure to arrest people and pressure to charge people and get convictions. But on the defense side, it's you and your client and the Constitution. And is the government going to do it in the right way, right? If they want to, send people to prison, that's fine, but there are rules and you're there and you're it. And you're the only thing standing between your client and an oppressive government or the potential for oppression. It's a powerful feeling. And if, it does make people feel good. And even there are cases where at the end of the day, there's going to be a conviction. But most clients I have found, if they feel they were treated fairly and they feel there was someone there helping them and they feel that they were taken seriously and they were afforded all of their rights, and at the end of the day, it's a conviction, they can accept that. It's when people feel that they weren't given a fair shake and they didn't have anyone there with them that was really fighting for them. It's very rewarding work. And if you're a lawyer doing transactional work, it's just not the same.
Right.
It's hard to explain, but that feeling that you get from helping a person, it's a motivator for people.
Kathleen, I know you've been on both sides. You've been a prosecutor, you've been a defense attorney. What has kept you at SPD for this amount of time?
I like the mission. I really believe in the constitutional defense. I really believe you need attorneys there fighting the government. I mean, we really are the only check and balance a lot of times against a system. Prosecution work is important. I'm not an anarchist. I mean, we need that piece of it, but you really need the public defense piece. So I believe in the mission. I believe in the Constitution. The agency, I very much enjoy the agency. My colleagues are great. You've got a core of people that are kind of united in the mission, and it's fun. It's very collegiate. We work well together.
Yeah.
The atmosphere is good.
Yeah. What about you, Melissa?
Well, I am not a lawyer, but in my previous career, I was actually working more in the court system for the state courts. So it was pretty eye-opening for me to start working at SPD. It's, a different experience. I don't have the experience of being in front of judges in the courtroom and what that's like, but I really believe also in the mission. It's very rewarding. We get feedback from our attorneys. Sometimes we get feedback from the clients or from other attorneys in the community about our attorneys. And it's just very rewarding to see somebody make a positive impact in someone's life. Even as Kathy pointed out, even if they're convicted, it still might be that this person fought as hard as they possibly could for you.
Yeah. What are we seeing in terms of the number of cases that attorneys are handling at SPD? What's the workload?
I can't talk to the staff side because we're in the assigned counsel
Yeah.
division. And, for assigned counsel lawyers, because we're so flexible, there's some assigned counsel lawyers will take 1 or 2 cases a year, and some will have their entire practice as public defender cases. So it's hard to put a number on that on our side because every individual determines their caseload.
Yes, and it's also, obviously taking 20 misdemeanor cases is still probably not the equivalent of 1 Class A, Class B felony, something like that. So just the straight up numbers don't necessarily speak to workload necessarily, but
is there we're talking about having a shortage. Is there, how many more attorneys would it take to enter or participate in the program to get it to be fully operational or fully staffed?
It's a good question. My question would be, well, how many cases are they going to take? What is their experience level? How many homicides can they handle? How many drunk drivings can they handle? Are they willing to travel all over the state?
How many bail jumping
how many
charges are going to be filed in a particular county or something like we also don't know what the particular caseload is going to be.
Yeah, that's our problem. We're reactive. It's hard to plan when we can only react to what's charged. So a lot of it depends on local charging practices of prosecutor offices.
Okay.
And now, a word from our sponsors.
Hi, Russell Nicolay here with Nicolay Law, Accident and Injury Lawyers. If you have clients that have been injured, my office would love the opportunity to help them get compensated and get their life back on track. We handle referrals and co-counsel relationships on injury cases all across Wisconsin.
Wilmick delivers big coverage for solo and small firm lawyers. Our experienced legal insurers provide comprehensive malpractice protection designed specifically for Wisconsin attorneys. With Wilmick, you get more than peace of mind. You gain reliable support that helps you practice confidently, knowing you're protected from costly claims and unexpected liability risks.
Thank you. And now back to the Bottom Up Podcast.
So what would you say to an attorney who would be listening to this and saying, well, I'm interested, but I just feel, I don't feel confident. I've never taken a criminal case before. I don't know if I could do that.
You can do it. You can absolutely do it. And you have a community of people that will help you do it. I think for the people that I would say to anyone out there listening, and there will be people on all stages of their careers, right out of law school to those ready to retire. Wherever you fall in that group, we have something for you and we can help you, wherever it is geographically, whatever case type. If you feel like you don't have the confidence, it's okay. We do have our mentoring program, which has been very successful. We will find a specific lawyer to help you with the cases that we will start you with. We also have a couple of listservs where you've got your communities there that will help you. We provide a lot of resources in the assigned counsel division. I field a lot of phone calls from attorneys. They may ask, for this case type, I think I need an expert, and I will walk them through it. We can help them find experts, or I can refer them to a lawyer who has expertise. On staff, we have several lawyers who will consult with private bar in very niche areas, such as forensic practice, immigration, termination of parental rights, juvenile, mental health. We have a very robust training division. We've recently rebranded. I'm sure you've noticed.
Mm-hmm.
And as part of our new rebrand on our website, we have a portal specific to attorneys in the Assigned Counsel Program where they can review training. So it's online, on-demand trainings, motions, research, outlines. So materials are there, the resources are there. The Assigned Counsel Division, we're here to help point them in the direction of where they can find additional resources, whether it be mentors, attorneys, or just legal work. And I've also found that the courts are very accommodating to lawyers who are newer to the practice. Mm-hmm. I think judges recognize how intimidating it is for newer lawyers, and judges really recognize the need to have people doing this work, so they will also be helpful.
Yeah.
I would also say anybody out there listening that has any remote interest, just try it. Just try it. That you're not committed to a certain number of cases or a certain length of time. Not that I want to encourage somebody to try it and then immediately withdraw and stop doing it, but nonetheless, just try it. Again, great way to get courtroom experience. And I think it's important for the well-rounded judiciary, too, to have some experience along the way. Like in Kathy's case, she has been a prosecutor and a public defender. Not everyone can say that. Some people, are very focused on one or the other, but, some people sort of move through those ranks and then become judges. And I think it gives a better understanding and a better perspective on the entire system.
Yeah.
And I would also say for newer lawyers or maybe lawyers who primarily practice more transitional type work, when you have the one-on-one client representation, with our cases, you're going to learn the art of persuasion. That could be with the court, it could be with the prosecutor, it could be with your client, or the art of negotiation. And building those personal relationships and how to deal with people is probably on some level more important than the trial experience, because what you don't learn in law school is psychology. And what you need every day in this job is a lot of psychology. And
right.
I think that's what this experience really gives you. And you take those tools and then you build your practice.
Right. And learning how to talk to people. I mean, I think what you said about just making sure that your client understands that someone is there for them and is listening to them, and is helping them through the process, that at the end of the day, they can accept whatever happens. I think that's an important point and a skill that lawyers who go through this program will probably learn.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you wanted to make sure that anyone listening would want to know about this program, or anything else you want to mention?
I guess, again, just to reiterate, especially for younger attorneys, the flexibility afforded, work-life balance, it's whatever you make it, the number of cases that you choose, where you take the cases, just that flexibility, I think is, I know there are demands when you're working in a big law firm that, it's hard work. It's all hard work, but you have a little bit more control over your own workload and caseload when you are in our program.
If you're thinking about it, it's just, if you want to be your own boss or you want to be independent and you want to have the flexibility, or you just want the experience, we can absolutely help with all those things. And like we talked about before, we're well funded. You're going to get paid. You don't have to chase down your clients. We'll help you do your billing. We'll walk you through experts. We'll help you with the expenses. And you can pick and choose what you want. So we've got the training resources. So there's just so many good things about the program. And at the end of the day, it's very rewarding work. And when people leave and they go into private practice, a large percentage of them come back, and it's because the work is rewarding.
Yeah, absolutely. So for those who may be interested, what should they do? How should they contact you? How will they get involved?
Sure. So the easiest way is through the State Public Defender website. The Assigned Counsel Division has a page on that site, and our phone numbers are there, our emails are there. We're very easy to find. Melissa and I have been going out around the state for attorneys. We do an ethics roadshow where we do a 1-hour ethics presentation over lunch. And so look for us in your area. We'll be doing some coming up in 2026. We'll be advertising. You can find them on the website. And we have a big public defender conference in November, I want to say the second week in November. Don't hold me to that. It's around that time. It's in Milwaukee every year at the Hyatt for 2 days. It's a very good way to get all of your ethics credits. And I'll just put in a plug for the training division, because this year on Thursday, all day, we have Larry Posner coming in to do all-day cross-examination. And for you, those of you that do trial work, whether you're civil lawyer or criminal lawyer, Larry Posner is sort of the king of cross-examination, so it should be a good conference, and I would hope people look us up and think about attending.
We also have been attending your conferences, the State Bar conferences, and so we will be at the Solo Small Firm Conference in October. So if anyone is interested or has questions or wants to maybe get a little bit more information before signing up and they're going to be at that conference, they should stop by our table.
That's great. Well, I want to thank you both for coming on today. I know it's a very important issue for Wisconsin. The Assigned Counsel Program, it's a great program for those overflow cases for SPD, and there's always a need, and I think attorneys should get involved, and I really appreciate you giving us the lowdown.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
All right. Well, until next time, I'm Joe Forwards with the State Bar of Wisconsin, and this is the Bottom Up Podcast. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to our podcast. If you have a topic you'd like us to explore, let us know. I'm your host, Emilio Viagale, and we'll catch you next time.